Here's Kimberly Crenshaw defending critical race theory, which is what the Democratic Party is pushing. Critical race theory is basically just a name for let's tear down all of the systems and restore systems of actual discrimination, reverse discrimination, in order to restore some sort of equality of outcome.
Critical race theory just says let's pay attention to what has happened in this country and how what has happened in this country is continuing to create differential outcomes so we can become that country that we say we are. So critical race theory is not anti-patriotic. In fact, it is more patriotic than those who are opposed to it because we believe in the 13th and the 14th and the 15th Amendment. We believe in the promises of equality, and we know we can't get there if we can't confront and talk honestly about inequality.
Okay, that's just untrue. Okay, so when she says that proponents of critical race theory believe in the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment, Derek Bell explicitly says that he doesn't believe in processes like due process, that he doesn't believe in things like equal justice before law, right? Those are merely fig leaves for systems of white supremacy and racism. What she's talking about is not actual critical race theory. What she is talking about is something broader and simpler and really not associated with CRT, right? She's saying something that is true, which is that history has an impact on the present. But one thing that you'll notice from critical race theorists is that they actually don't want to attempt to even quantify what impact history has on the present. Because quantification could lead to the conclusion that the vast majority of disparity today is not the result of historic discrimination. The vast majority of disparity today is the result of individual decision-making that is not equally distributed by communities. Right? That is what critical race theory does not want to argue. Okay, well, so these folks are making that argument that deeply undermines basic and fundamental American principles. And then they're surprised when there's blowback, and they suggest that any blowback is evidence of your racism. Again, it's trying to create these sort of unfalsifiable theses. So the thesis from the left on January 6th that's unfalsifiable is the right is responsible for January 6th, broadly speaking. And if you say, no, we're not, then that's just evidence that you don't take January 6th seriously. And they're doing the same thing with regard to American racism. They say that if you oppose CRT, it's because you're a racist. And if you accept CRT, it's because you're accepting your own racism. And not only that, if you oppose it, if you oppose CRT and you point out the shortcomings of people like Nicole Hannah-Jones, who's a prevaricator and a liar, if you point out that she should not have a tenured position at a major American university because she is not qualified to do so, because she has fabricated history, because she ignored criticism, because she has doxed people, because she's a terrible candidate to be a professor at a major university, then this means that you're a racist. The University of North Carolina has now rescinded a tenure offer to 1619 project author Nicole Hannah-Jones. She should never have been offered this in the first place. According to a report by NC Policy Watch, UNC is backing down from offering Hannah-Jones a tenured position at its journalism school because she's not a journalist. Well, instead, they will offer her a fixed 5-year contract, according to a report by NC Policy Watch. The change in plans comes 3 weeks after it was announced that she would have a tenured position at the university, which is kind of incredible, that she was just offered tenure right off the bat. Usually you have to earn your way into tenure at a major American university, particularly if you have no academic background, the way Nicole Hannah-Jones has no academic background. She's not a professor. She's not a PhD. She hasn't taught at a major American university. Very weird to be offered a tenure track position right off the bat. That's very strange. Okay, it's disappointing, said Susan King, dean of UNC's Hussman School of Journalism and Media. It's not what we wanted. I'm afraid it will have a chilling effect. Okay, so first of all, UNC, if they wanted to hire her and they knew this going in, they should give her, frankly, I think UNC should give her the tenure track position because I think that people should recognize UNC for what it is. But should they ever have offered it to her? No, they should never have offered it to her because she absolutely does not deserve it. She's 100% not a person who deserves a tenure track position or a tenured position right off the bat at a major American university. The fact that she was granted it is just evidence of how deeply CRT has seeped into the American system of thought. So there are a lot of people on the left who are saying it's cancel culture if Nicole Hannah-Jones is not given a tenure position at University of North Carolina. Okay, well, here's the deal. Should she be canceled? Should she lose that position? She never should have been offered it, and it's a taxpayer-funded institution, University of North Carolina. Taxpayer-funded institutions are not the same as private universities. If she'd been hired at a private university, I would say she should keep her job. If she's at a public university, that's your taxpayer dollars. Taxpayer dollars are a very different thing. Alrighty. Meanwhile, cryptocurrencies, you may have noticed, took a serious dive over the course of the last couple of days. According to the UK Daily Mail, Bitcoin has rallied after plunging below the $40,000 mark for the first time in more than 3 months, as Tesla boss Elon Musk insists the company will not sell any of its holdings in the cryptocurrency. Despite the turbulence, celebrities and others who bought in early are still up big, But small investors who jumped on the Bitcoin trend in the past few months may have suffered some ruinous losses. This is one of the problems with Bitcoin right now, is that because the amount in circulation in terms of being used by that many people is still not that high, it can be disproportionately affected by swings from celebrities who decide that they're not going to engage in more Bitcoin use. For example, investors had rushed out of cryptocurrency earlier Wednesday after China sparked a market panic when officials announced a regulatory crackdown. And this just demonstrates, by the way, how important Bitcoin is going to be for the future of economic freedom, because more and more governments are going to start cracking down on Bitcoin in the same way that during the 1930s, governments started cracking down on the private ownership of gold. Because if you can trade in currencies that are not government currencies, this allows you to divest from the government's inflationary policies. And this is the thing that the government cannot allow. This has always been my great fear for Bitcoin, which effectually is just a form of precious metals that has been digitized. That's really all that Bitcoin is. The volatility in Bitcoin right now is an effect of nobody knowing whether or not governments are going to even allow the circulation of Bitcoin. But long term, I'm not sure the governments can prevent it, which is why I've been a Bitcoin fan for quite a while. The Bitcoin had hit like 30% drop before it retraced most of its losses after Elon Musk's vote of confidence. By late afternoon trade in New York, the currency was still down about 10% on the day, but well off its earlier lows. Musk indicated that his company would not sell any of its Bitcoin holdings. He tweeted on Wednesday morning, Tesla has diamond hands. Diamond hands is slang popularized by Wall Street Bets, which is a Reddit forum indicating a refusal to sell even in the face of falling prices. Tesla stock was down about 2.6% in afternoon trading. Good for Musk for pushing Bitcoin, frankly. He said, one person wrote on Reddit, I know today looks terrible and lots of people lost too much money they can't afford to lose, but markets always bounce back, so let's not do rash decisions. Life is more important. That, of course, is true. Long term, Bitcoin is going to be something that I believe remains worthwhile, particularly as governments try to stop it. In fact, again, the value in Bitcoin lies in the fact that governments are going to try to stop it in the first place. Who's got two thumbs and wants you to like and subscribe?